This week on the Austin Healey channel, it's all about the drivetrain. The differential gets the spa treatment, the transmission comes off, and reveals a big surprise. These have been sitting over a 3-day weekend. Monday I had a lot of administrative things to do, and they look pretty good. I don't see any leakage around the seals where they normally would. And that's not to say when I put them on the car they won't start leaking with use, but for now they look good. I have some of the best subscribers on YouTube. I hope you're one of them. One of the questions I got from the last video was to take out the valves from here and compare them to see if there's a difference, because that might indicate, if the hole that the oil goes through is larger or smaller, it might indicate the difference in whether it's performance or not. So let's give that a try. So there's the standard one. Just by eyeball, they look about the same. This one has a rubber seal here, an O-ring, with the holes. It might be a little bit different between like that one right there and this one. See if I can catch a reading with the micrometers. Really looks about the same, except for the grommet, the O-ring. That was interesting. Let's put it back together though. I think it's time we take a look at the brakes on the back. This is kind of cool. So I've taken off the cylinder on the back, and it has these really cool spring washers on them. They twist around twice, I guess giving it extra spring so they don't get loose. Really cool. I'm not sure if you can see this on camera, but right here on the rubber, this is Gerling. So this is the original boot on this cylinder. I think that's really cool. It has survived all this time. It's all crunchy and nasty and stuff and will be replaced, but it's pretty amazing that it's gone that far. Look, more shmoo. Shmoo. We have the emergency brake cable here, where it's mounted on the axle. All I can say is, what were they thinking? This is why I built the cabinet so big. So we need to make a new brake line. I've done this before, so I'm not going to walk you through it step by step. You've seen how it's done. This one's going to go here. So this is the rear brake caliper, and this arm here is the part that gets pulled on when you pull the emergency brake. I was curious how it worked, so I took it apart, and it's interesting, so I thought I'd show you. First of all, it's still dirty inside, so I gotta clean that up. But when this gets pulled, there's these two free-floating cylinders that push on these arms, and that would in turn push the brake shoes out and engage them into the brake drum. Anyway, I thought that was really clever. I like these rolling pins. I think that's pretty cool. I'm gonna clean it up and put it back together now. Here we go, all cleaned up. I've sprayed some high temp silver on this outside to keep it from rusting, and cleaned it up, greased it up. It's so cool. Now I'll put it back together now. These are now halfway restored. Half of the functionality is working. I still need to order parts and replace the drums and the boots and all the internals on the cylinder, but I checked the cylinders, they do move. It just needs cleaned up, and then the rubber parts replaced. But that's a very nice start. Besides, it gave me something to do while I'm waiting for the frame. So I'm a little tired of just sandblasting parts and getting them and prepping them, so I want to play with some electricity. The starter motor was giving us a bit of issues. I think just the issue might be it was dirty and not making good contact. So we're going to pull it off, play with it, see what we can do. First off, we can see that it's just gross. It's dirty. So we're gonna clean it up and see what we can do with it. Original color was black, which is good to note. Now, didn't I just say I was tired of sandblasting and painting and wanted to do something different? Well, it sure looks a lot better. The main idea behind this is that this post is cleared up, and where it grounds will be a lot cleaner. The engine will be cleaned up as well, so making that ground will really help. With those two, with the ins and outs cleaned up, the electricity should be able to flow better, less resistance, and hopefully give more power at less amps to this old thing. That's the theory, at least, without tearing it all apart. I thought it'd be a good time to take more stuff apart, so I'm gonna take the transmission off and we'll be able to check the state of the clutch and things. Oh boy, that's a bit of a surprise. Well, that doesn't look very good. Full of oil. I guess the tricky part now be to figure out if it's from the engine or from the transmission. Judging from the engine plate, and it's all over that too. It's really hard to say, so maybe we'll be fighting a two-front battle. Since I've been working on this big chunk of metal all week, I thought it'd be a good time to talk about what it's called and what it does in this week's Say What? Now normally I use this opportunity to make fun of the British or the Australian for their comical use of vocabulary, but I'm not going to this time. This thing is called a differential, sometimes called an axle. It has two very important parts to play. When you drive around a circle, the inside wheel travels less far than the outside wheel. And if they were locked together, it would cause all sorts of problems, from steering issues to tire wear to binding up the drivetrain. And that's no good. So those clever engineers worked this out. There's a mechanism in here, a set of gears, that allows the outside wheel to spin faster than the inside wheel. And this might be why sometimes you could get stuck if you have one tire on the pavement and one tire in the mud. The tire in the mud just spins with all the power, and the outside one's on the pavement's just sitting there, and you're going, come on, turn, I'm stuck. The other thing this does, this part here connects to the transmission where you select your gears. But that's not all the gear reducing that happens. Inside here, these gears play an important part in lowering the gear ratio from what's fed out of the transmission to what's fed to the tires. This gives it more torque and sets it properly. Some people, typically for racing applications, will actually change this to different gear ratios so they can better perform in what they're doing. So whether you call it an axle or differential, it plays a very important role in getting the power from the engine down to the wheels. It's like R2-D2's bastard cousin. Well, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was before. I've been through several different layers of soap and degreaser, and I finally ended up using turpentine to try and melt through the grease. It was just really thick and then really stuck on there with dirt and time. It's better now, but wow, it took a long time. At some point I need to figure out, I've seen no traces of original color on this. Most of the ones I've seen have been painted Healey green, but I do need to get in and do my research and see if that's in fact the color, or if it's left natural like this. Okay, this has been happening to me a lot, and I thought it was just rust and stuff, but these bolts are not rusty. So 9/16, I put it on there, and it's just really loose. This one, it just kind of spins around. 1/2 inch, it won't go on there. So if I switch into metric, what is this, 15 millimeter? That's too big, I gotta find the 14. Sorry about that. So 14, it's still a bit loose, but it at least goes on. I have no idea why, or what's up with this. Unless they're using like 30-second sizes. Let's pull one off and see what we got. 14 spinning. What the hell kind of size is this? Maybe 13 millimeter. 13 millimeter seems to fit better. 1/2 inch won't go on. Does. I don't know, did they just have problems with quality control back then? So bizarre. Maybe they were anticipating metrics. And there's the clutch. Really not in terrible shape, besides just being old. This is all kind of gross. Got oil down in it, and this might be mold. I don't know. Some sort of weirdness going on there. Flywheel is looking okay. Besides greasy. You can see just how bad this is. And this is all over the transmission. Lovely stuff. It didn't look like they're worn down, and that would be causing the issue, but they do look special. Like they have a special stamp on the back for, that's all stamped 6, which is probably like the strength of the bolt. Funny, funny, funny. Okay, and now since the flywheel's so oily, we're gonna go ahead and take it off to check. Well, we have to see if the scroll, I'm assuming this one has a scroll like the Sprite and the Season 1, but we'll take it apart and see if we can see if that's where the oil's coming from. So to do that, we have to first punch out these 4 little locking clips. It'd be a lot easier if we weren't on the floor. And what size are these going to be? Are they going to be metric? Are they going to be standard? .5/8 kind of fits, a little floppy. Jesus. 9/16. 9/16 is no go. 5/8 is pretty floppy. Maybe I'll try a metric. 15 fits really well. This is so bizarre. Of course, just one that won't go. That's a heavy flywheel. That's pretty cool. You see that? That's the top part. It covers the scroll on the camshaft. And it's safety wired in there. It's like they do that in aviation to keep the bolts from coming out. That's pretty cool. It's before Loctite. The safety wire. There is oil down here, see? So I would assume that the oil is coming from there. What to do about it, that's a whole nother trick. So save that for another day. I have to do some research. Maybe it's possible to do do like we did on the Sprite and put the new version, the new type of seal on there. Anyway, that's about as far as we're gonna get digging into this tonight. This afternoon. It's Friday. I think it's time to clean up a bit. If you want to come along on the ride as we complete this project, click the subscribe button. If you want YouTube to tell you every time there's a new video, click the alarm bell. Thanks for watching, and your support is very much appreciated.